The door was struck loudly 3 times. "Kenji, Kenji! Open the door! I brought you food!" The door did not open. While the sounds of clashing swords rose from inside, Mrs. Emiko slowly leaned down and left the tray in front of the door. The deep anxiety she felt for her son was visible in her watery eyes. Kenji had not left his room for exactly 3 days. He sat in that ergonomic chair day and night, playing the newly released samurai game. He slept only 2 or 3 hours a day, and even then, he took those short breaks in his gaming chair. Mrs. Emiko had lost her husband in a tragic traffic accident when she was only 36 years old, becoming a young widow. Kenji was 10 years old at the time, and was fully aware of the cruelty of life. Emiko had to work non-stop during the day to provide for the household. However, Kenji had completely shut himself off from social life due to the trauma of losing his father. Most days he didn't even go to school, and when he did, he spent the classes sleeping on his desk. Over time, not a single friend was left around him. There was no one who communicated with him except the cruel school bullies. They only approached him to take his money or his food. Every time Kenji tried to resist the bullies, but his weak body would not allow it. As he was knocked to the ground with the first punch, the laughter surrounding him wounded his soul deeper than his physical injuries. They even shared videos of them beating him on social media, playing with his dignity. It took Kenji a week to get over the shame, every time. During this period, the only thing he could do was take refuge in his room, which he saw as a safe zone, and bury himself in samurai games to try to forget what happened. Who knows how many times he had imagined going to school with a large sword and cutting down those bullies one by one. Although Emiko loved her son more than her own life, she knew that this destructive cycle had to end. She prepared a small suitcase for herself and quietly left the house. When Kenji noticed he was extremely hungry, his mother had been gone for a full day. He opened the door, hoping to find ready-made food, but he was met with the empty floor. He left his room and went to the kitchen. When he opened the refrigerator, he saw that the shelves were completely empty. He began to search the drawers frantically, but found nothing but a few stale biscuits. With great distress, he sat at the table and his eyes caught a white piece of paper. "Dear Kenji, I have volunteered for a long-term overseas project at my workplace. I will not be with you for the next year. I am very tired of you locking yourself in your room and doing nothing. I believe you need to be alone to stand on your own feet. I am leaving enough money in the drawer at the entrance for 1 month. During this time, you need to do your own shopping and prepare your own meals. Also, you are graduating from high school this year. You must find a part-time job next month to support yourself." Kenji was trembling with anger. How could this be? His mother could not abandon him like this? 3 weeks had passed, but there was not the slightest change in Kenji. He spent his money on ready-to-eat food orders and lived without getting up from his computer. He didn't even remember the last time he took a shower. The couriers who brought deliveries would walk away holding their noses because of the heavy smell, and the expected day came. Kenji had no money left. There wasn't a single soul he could ask for a loan. As the claws of hunger squeezed his stomach, he had to get dressed and go out. He had to find money. He visited the nearby restaurants one by one, but the moment he entered, the atmosphere changed with his heavy scent. He was turned away everywhere, either politely or harshly. "Hey, Kenji, why don't you come to school, you filth?" He recognized this voice behind him. He knew it was impossible to escape. 4 students surrounded him. "Take out whatever you have in your pocket and give it to us. We are hungry." Kenji showed his empty pockets. "Unfortunately, I have no money." At that moment, the leader of the group landed a hard punch to Kenji's weak stomach. "You have no money and you smell like a corpse, you damn loser." As Kenji writhed on the ground, tears of helplessness were falling from his eyes. Let's go, guys. I can't stand this smell any longer. Kenji slowly stood up and walked with dazed steps towards the park. When raindrops started to fall, he was sitting on a bench, crying uncontrollably. Why are these things happening to me? I didn't do anything to anyone. As the rain turned into a storm, Kenji continued to blame himself and his life, ignoring the wetness. At that exact moment, a huge lightning bolt from the sky struck Kenji. When he opened his eyes, the rain had stopped. There was a burning, bright sun above him. When he slowly sat up, he realized that this was not that park. He was in the middle of a rice field. When he stood up, he noticed a young woman and an older man working at the other end of the field. "Why are these people dressed so strangely?" he muttered. Just then, the young woman noticed Kenji. "Father, who is this oddly dressed boy in the middle of our field?" The man slowly straightened up. "I think we have a guest from afar," he said, approaching Kenji and bowing respectfully. "I am Hiroshi Shimada, and this is my daughter Hana. Would you like to be our guest for dinner?" Kenji's stomach growled so loudly it could be heard from 10 meters away. "I would love to, Mr. Hiroshi. My name is Kenji Sato. Where exactly are we?" Hiroshi looked at the strange youth and answered, "You are in Akatsuki Village." Kenji looked around. There was not a single concrete building or a power pole, and, "What year is it?" he asked fearfully. Hana immediately replied, "It's the year 1562, of course." During dinner, Kenji's eyes were fixed on the magnificent katana hanging on the wall. Hana smiled and said, "My father was once a famous samurai, but now he has put down his sword and is just farming." Kenji jumped up with excitement and bowed to the ground in front of Hiroshi. "Please, sir, teach me." Hiroshi took Kenji by the arm and lifted him up. "Fine, but you must earn it." When morning came, Kenji woke up from a deeper and more peaceful sleep than he had ever experienced in his life. He looked around. No, this was not a dream. He had no computer. Instead of his soft bed, he was on a floor mattress. Traditional clothes were standing next to him, and the wooden tub in the corner of the room was filled with hot water. Kenji got rid of his old dirty clothes and entered the water. As he enjoyed the water, he thought about how this was possible. He put on his new clothes and went out to the garden. Hana and Hiroshi were about to go to the field. "Are we starting the training?" he asked excitedly. Hiroshi smiled. "No. It's good that you got rid of those ridiculous clothes and cleaned up. Now we need to handle the work in the field." When Hana explained what he needed to do, the young man watched her with admiration. When he started working the soil with a hoe, a peace he had never felt before filled him. "For the first time in my life, I am truly working," he thought. When they returned from the field, it was not yet dark. Hana brought 2 wooden swords bakken from the house and handed one to Kenji. When Hana made her first move, Kenji noticed something surprising. He was watching her movements as if in slow motion. Hana's millisecond move seemed like a 2-second duration in Kenji's eyes. Thanks to the sword techniques he had analyzed in the samurai games he played for years, he managed to defeat Hana on the first try. Hiroshi watched this scene with amazement and took the sword from his daughter. This time, experience stood before Kenji. Only 3 moves were enough. Kenji was lying on the ground in the dust. Although he saw the move slowed down, he had been physically inadequate against Hiroshi's years of power and technique. After that day, a new life began for Kenji. He strengthened his body by working in the fields in the morning and spent the rest of his time receiving ancient samurai training from Hiroshi. The sweat shed in the field and the disciplined practice with the sword transformed Kenji into a completely different person. 2 years had passed. Kenji was now an honorable and strong samurai, not just in games, but in real life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, you can support me by liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Until we meet in the next video, take care of yourselves.